Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my webinar. Unfortunately, we will not have a chance to conduct it live, so we'll have to deal with the recording. And the topic of today's webinar is what I call essential skills for a successful career in a world-class media. And to start off, let's quickly look into our agenda. And it's quite simple. I'll talk briefly about myself, about the company I'm working at, the Kyiv Independent. Then we'll get to the skills themselves, and then we should have had Q&A, but unfortunately, you'll have to leave your questions in comments or write an email. So, about myself, here you can see what I look like. I'm a recent graduate from Concordia, actually. I graduated this summer from bachelor's program, and I graduated with honors. And at the moment, I'm continuing to pursue my education with university. I'm studying at the master's program with Concordia. And looking at my past employment, I've been working continuously since I turned 18. And well, over the years, I had a chance to work at relatively well-known and important companies such as Dragon Capital, EY, and Promin Aerospace, a local rocket startup. And at the moment, I'm an executive assistant or associate at the Kyiv Independent. And now let's move on to the company itself. I'll tell you about it briefly. Here you can actually see myself in the background, other members of our team. But looking at the company itself, it was actually established a bit over a year ago. We just celebrated our first anniversary. And what we are famous for is that we've been able to garner the attention of the entire world with our extensive and somewhat exclusive coverage of events here, since not a lot of news agencies and independent journalists actually publish here in English language, and that's our main advantage and our main focus, to bring good quality coverage of events here independently to the world audience. And at the moment, we were able to become one of, if not the biggest independent language media outlet in Ukraine. And now moving forward, let's get onto the skills, the main point of presentation and my webinar. So to start off, let's discuss work ethic and ability to organize things. I've made this chart to describe what I see as the main aspects of work ethic and organization, such as a lot of work ethic and skills generally revolve around all the four things here, from planning to organizing things to executing things and controlling how it is executed, and then moving back to the planning stage. So the process looks something like this. And the main things here is that generally you would like to follow deadlines, but also consider that a lot of people that you might be controlling, managing, they don't remember something. And it's your job as a manager or as a employee to remind people of things, because, well, everyone is forgetful at times, and a lot of things can go wrong if someone forgets to do some trivial thing, like send a form or file something. And keeping notes and calendar is basically essential for any sort of position that requires competence, because, well, you can't remember everything. People are built this way that they forget something, and without a hard copy, at least on your phone, on your laptop, or just piece of paper, everything falls apart. The whole cycle of planning, organizing, executing, and controlling, you have to keep track of things. And it's also helpful if you are able to build a sort of mental map of process and maybe draw it on a piece of paper or like sketch it somewhere. Because a lot of processes are quite complicated, and it's a trick I actually learned from my engineering background, that a lot of things might seem complicated, but in fact, when you break them down into small bites, into small pieces, it all solves itself by itself, basically, if you know what I'm talking about. And it's essential that you also keep track of details and remember about details, since details is the key element here. Elements of the process cannot work if they are not thoroughly thought of, thoroughly controlled. And details is like those small Lego pieces that you build the entire thing of. And if one doesn't fit, well, the whole structure doesn't look right, doesn't function right. So details are important, and you should keep track of them at all times. And now I'd like to move to the next skill and next set of knowledge that is important here. Well, speaking from experience, the quality of your work is generally substantially more important than the speed that you deliver at it. Well, let me explain. Basically, the quality is important when it comes to processes that require attention. You cannot rush things. Going headfirst into a problem doesn't really help when you don't quite understand what you're dealing with. And of course, it is essential that anything you do right, like generally on the first try, so you save time. And for that, I think you should consider the following points. The clarifying questions for the tasks are essential. It saves a lot of time. And work with documents, especially learning to understand them, like knowing the structure of the document, knowing the things that are said in the document. It is, well, top priority in quality. And of course, if you don't know something, remember this. Google is your best friend. Google is a enormous source of knowledge and information. Google can help you solve almost any problem you might come in contact with. And of course, it is essential that you know how to work with it. So I highly recommend you go through basic tutorials on how to use Google, because in my practice, Google generally has any question an answer you might ask for. And of course, speaking of other subsets of quality of your work, remember to make your work sort of presentable and understandable, as in you don't make basic notes and just go with them. Consider structuring them. Consider making a small presentation. Consider making your work, even the draft versions, more or less finalized, so the people can give you suggestions or on how to improve them, or how you might restructure it to make it more and overall better at what it is trying to accomplish. Moving on, let's speak about the next important element of success. Speaking to people is essential. Communication is everything in any business, especially in media, because a lot of the work actually comes down to being able to get information you want. And it's important that you know how to do it. So in general, I'd say that being able to communicate your thoughts and ideas in a understandable and clear manner is, well, it's the basis of your entire success in a workplace. And of course, proper communication, properly structured communication, effective communication is a money and time saver. Because if you practice your speaking and know how to convince person to do something or extract information from them, it is opens a lot of doors and opens a lot of opportunities for you in all regards. And of course, be open to advice and recommendations that you might receive, or criticism as well, because people around you might know better than you in many regards, and it is advisable that you take what they have to say with some consideration. And of course, in workspace communications, it is important to know the balance between being too formal or too casual, because well, I encountered this problem that different workspaces have different cultures, and it is often the problem that I'm either too formal, either too informal, and people, well, they don't like it being either way. So consider being more careful about the way you speak and the way you communicate with people. Speaking about the other skills, another important aspect of well, good career and overall productivity here is that you're able to come up with solutions. Not just like final solutions, just with basic solutions to problems. Then you can see on the chart that sometimes problems, well, they're complicated and or simple. And of course, if you go around, ask for like help, just help me right now. I don't know how to do it. What's the issue here? It is counterproductive for you and other people, because basically, if you're able to take a bit of time, but for example, again, Google something and just come up with solution and present the solution to another person, it is often the best solution at times, for simple problems at least. So consider this. A lot of problems have basic solutions. Google them and present them. And if they work, they work. If they don't work, consider adjusting them, and they might work. And this comes again to organizational and problem-solving skills, because those skills can help you structure your ideas and problems in a way that allows you to solve them on your own, even hard ones. And of course, don't come with a problem, come with a solution. Over the years, I learned this truth that coming up with just a basic solution and not a problem to someone, well, it is absolutely essential, because no one likes to solve problems. Everyone likes to have a solution already. And it is often the case that the people who know how to solve problems or just find the primarily solution to something are the most liked and the most valuable ones, because ready solutions, they save a lot of time and nerves for management. For example, in my case, I work with the upper management at a firm, and they very much appreciate when a problem that has a reason is presented with my solution, for example. And this solution often just very much helps people to at least understand the problem deeper, not just learn about it on their own. And it is often the case that even the bad solution is better than just a plain problem without any research or explanation. So consider looking into ways of finding solutions. Again, Google, very much your best friend here. And moving on to the other aspect of a good career and productive workflow is you being taking initiative, going forward with a proposal. And I say initiative is a key element of productivity in a workspace. What I mean here, for instance, you have skills, you have knowledge, connections, and work experience, and those are, well, great things to have. But if you just sit around and don't use them and just wait for someone to come up with some sort of task for you and, well, just waste time, it's not gonna work. So initiative is the path to company and personal productivity. Being the person that comes forward, that comes up with a solution, that comes up with a proposal. It is the person that you would like to hire, that I would want to hire. And of course, initiative might take different forms. For instance, you might suggest some improvements to the workflow, another program, a different supplier, or why don't you research something on your own volition? Why don't you do a bit of research and present it to your manager? And of course, autonomy of action. Don't just wait around for someone to come up to you and say, do this, do it on your own. And again, coming back to the problem solving, a lot of problems have pre-made solutions. And if you take initiative to solve them, it is wonderful. It is essential that you know how to do it. And people appreciate it a lot. And of course, learning on your own, suggesting to take some training, suggesting to go to some courses. That's great. Do it, because you don't have to sit around and again just wait for someone to come up with a task for you. Do it on your own. Go explore. Go and learn about new things, because knowledge is everything, combined with initiative and other sets such as skills, experience, and connections. Now, moving on to the other minor elements of, well, there's not much to say here. Apart from learning, conducting, and persevering, well, be the hunter, don't be the prey. Be initiative. Take responsibility. And make good use of your time. Just, again, don't sit around and wait. Seek knowledge, because knowledge, again, in combination with initiative, well, leads to success. And of course, learning to research, learning to learn, it just ties into everything said before. Being able to seek knowledge, to acquire knowledge, and to present knowledge is of essence to any job you will do, anything you'll do. And of course, seeing as I work in media environment, it is often the case that people are very touchy with how you say and how you present things. So consider what you're saying, consider how you're saying it. Be careful with words, because pen is mightier than sword. And to wrap things up, I certainly would have liked to have a Q&A with the visitors to the webinar, but as you can understand, this is a recording, not a live lecture. So I'll guess you'll have to leave your questions in comments on YouTube, where this whole thing will be published, or contact me via my contact information. You can find me and reach me via those three main sources: email, LinkedIn, and Telegram. I'm active on there. If you have questions, suggestions, or any other business, I would certainly like to hear from you. It was a pleasure to have this lecture, and I hope you have learned something new and exciting today. Thank you.